Hello. After the military organs of the council overran my operational base last time, I was able to escape on time, but I had to leave some objects behind, like the mask. The video material in parts 2 and 3 was more than a week old, so I still wear the old mask there. I foresaw the case, so the operating base was an abandoned building in Hungary, free of objects that would have allowed my identification. The laptop had a self-destruct mechanism that worked fine. Hence my message to the council: if you continue to try to catch me, you will lose even more soldiers without achieving the desired result. A few days ago, all reptiloids were called together for an urgent meeting at which the advocates reminded us of the threat of betrayal of secrets. Prison. Not a Mickey Mouse prison as a human's jail where people die after 30 to 50 years, but with all rebirths you can take a millennium to see daylight again, if at all. I know this prison, and I know that there are some of us sitting there who know that they are reptiloids after the rebirth. I will explain this later, because now I have more urgent things to discuss. Back to the topic. The have set up a base of operations whose location we don't know. They tried wherever they could to make mood against us. In more modern times, for example, the television series V visitors or reports in the sensational press that we eat humans, originate from them. But their hate against us is understandable. I already mentioned that there were no women on our expedition. But we could not do without female reptiloids. Cloning was a way out of the dilemma. We were faced with the problem that we had no DNA of the female Aaron. A chromosome part was missing. Male Aaron, like humans, have an XY chromosome, and women have an XX chromosome, and the second part of X contains all information about female sexual characteristics and reproductive organs. Around 2720 BC we solved the problem. We used human genes. We are, unlike real reptiles, live-bearers. This means that the eggs are hatched inside our bodies, with constant warmth and without fear of nest robbers. Only we do not breastfeed our offspring, but digest food for them. The women was perhaps not well thought out, because there were several reasons why there were no women on board the Agartha. It was not a military, but an exploration mission. Only if we had met enemies would we have requested military support. But after the war with this was no longer possible. With us, women are different from humans, who are more aggressive. They form the military caste. That does not mean that men are not in the military here, but only strongly underrepresented. On the other hand, there are also few women in research. But they were deployed on pure women's ships in order to avoid conflicts. According to geneticists, this aggression was hidden somewhere in the leg of the second X chromosome. We were able to prove this theory, but by using an exotic chromosome, we encountered other problems. Obviously, the chromosome also controls who is attractive. And, the thing is that the women produced in this way actually preferred humans. But that didn't matter, because most of them later wanted a human body anyway, and they pushed it through. Only then does the snake bite its tail. We could have saved ourselves the trouble by taking human females who don't think they are better than us, the Aryan men. But be it as it is, we also make mistakes and must now live with the consequences. Of the 100 Aryan in the Central Council, 14 are women. 1,346 After long debates we intervened extremely in the development of the humans and spread the bubonic plague. Please don't hold it against us. It was absolutely necessary. The churches had gained too much power and hindered the development of the human race. At the expense of a few million lives, the epidemic ensured that medicine and science were further developed. It also laid the foundation for industrialization, as manual labor became expensive due to a shortage of workers and was therefore increasingly used for mechanical work. The plan worked. The Pope made it possible to carry out research on corpses. Due to the desertification, the forest was regenerated. Wages in the cities rose. Farmers revolted, abolishing serfdom in England in 1381, which was not intended. Due to the expensive manual work of e.g. writers, people had to become more creative and experiment with new working methods. Letterpress was invented. Unfortunately, many people used the church as heirs during the Black Plague. As a result, this institution became more powerful than before. This was not intended. However, other faiths split off after the church was unable to explain why God punished the people in this way and did not provide assistance to the relatives of the victims. This led directly to the Renaissance. Who could have guessed that the idiots blamed the Jews for the plague? We have restructured our organization and spread our people across all continents. Most of us did what we liked without council control. Wealth's accumulated, countries governed, befriend with people of influence. Others have been engaged in forestry and agriculture. The council has promised every reptiloid that if he dies, he will get a new human body for no consideration, so he secured our loyalty. Apart from that, we were like humans. We worked for our own good, but still remained organized, with obligatory regular meetings and exchange of experience. Anonymous reptiloids, so to speak. Mavius meditated, as we learned later, for decades in monasteries in the Himalayas and developed the ability to enter another human body without technology at his death. He was followed by others of us who also wanted to learn this. The Haskates arrived in 1561. They did not have a very pleasant experience with one of our outposts, which, however, was also due to the women. They took position over Nuremberg. An epic battle followed in which we could fight them back, but we lost most of our golden dragons. In 1782, a man spoke before the council. A member of the Illuminati secret lodge. He prepared a proposal for us to work together. Illuminati possessed occult secret knowledge. They could open gates to the parallel universes. This interested us, of course. Visits to other realities were so far reserved only for the Illuminati wanted immortality in return. We agreed and formed a covenant with them under the name Babylonian Brotherhood. They proved to be valuable partners, with knowledge of the humans and the occult. Scientifically, their knowledge was not completely explainable, even for us. They had developed a method of channeling a human's fear of death during his sacrifice in such a way that the barrier between the parallel universes breaks open, using sound vibration sequences combined with light from candles in a certain arrangement. Scientifically, the brain has limited ability to change quantum spin and shift the realities. It would also have probably worked with animal sacrifices or our quantum technology, but the Illuminati still insist on their rituals. We stopped experimenting on humans thousands of years ago. That was the prerequisite to initiate a conversation with the et al., to at least negotiate a non-aggression pact. The constant attacks were a waste of resources. Many of today's drones still hate us, but at least we meet and discuss our differences annually. The 7th Legion, our nemesis, had lurked in one of the parallel worlds for thousands of years. They came back and began to attack us after we discovered them. They could occupy bodies of random people out of their parallel universe and even penetrate our universe individually. Over time they managed to occupy specific people, not just random ones. Fortunately, they could not use the quantum well as a weapon in human bodies. We pushed them back into their own universe with the help of the Illuminati. But again and again one of them manages to get back into our universe. We found out that the 7th Legion, which are genetically manipulated kings, evil in its purest form, conquered Caltech in one of the many parallel universes. They work on our home planet with the Aaron there after they were betrayed by the and banished to that parallel universe, because their abilities were a danger to society in peacetime. Since their limbs, in contrast to us or humans, are not controlled electrochemically, but quantum mechanically, their speed of movement is much higher than ours. Probably many people have already seen shadows from the corner of their eye. These were most likely the 7, or their quantum well, which protrudes from the parallel universe. They are looking here for possibilities to enter this planet permanently, not individually, as before, but in masses. At the moment they try to remain as inconspicuous as possible and not to attract the attention of humans as long as possible. The reason for this is that, like the they can only develop their strength in groups. They network their brains by means of entanglement and thus increase their performance exponentially. The use this technology to rapidly develop their technology further than ours. The 7, on the other hand, increase their killing speed. At the moment they only manage to stay here in their own form as long as they concentrate. With the quantum well they could manipulate space-time on all levels and dimensions. So they destroyed our entire military in the war with small self-losses. They conquered the Caltakin of their own universe and enslaved the humans to use them as soldiers. They conquered the entire Orion arm of the Milky Way. If they should invade here in masses, they would conquer the Earth in few hours. They do not know mercy. We managed with the Illuminati to establish a shadow government in the States to make arrangements to establish a Bewiter against the 7. Unfortunately, both we and the Illuminati became increasingly power-hungry. But that is another story. We further developed our Golden Dragon-class ships to adapt them to new requirements. The silent flight characteristics were maintained, the quantum overloading system was adapted to the latest discoveries and reduced in size. The Golden Dragons first became ash-gray cigars, then black dragons, also called black triangles. People call them TR3B, triangle three-corner black. The first test took place as early as 1811. They went into mass production in 1813, but I must say that due to the manufacturing process for anti-gravity fuel, our fleet will never exceed 130 units unless we manage to build an improved version of the propulsion. But that's what we've been researching with the military since the late 1980s. We currently have 127 of these tactical ships stationed in secret bases. 8 of them are either in permanent flight or on standby. Area 51 is one of the bases run by the military shadow government that has the real authority in the USA. In 1869, a group under Mabius's leadership split off from us and the Guard with the aim of gaining sole world domination. The use of false flag and other unethical means became commonplace. They developed their own clone tanks with which they produced growth-accelerated bodies for such missions. Colton Mabius was, by the way, the inspiration for the novel character of Dr. Werner Mabius. He had contact with the writer and creator of the character, Norbert Jacques. They called themselves the Vril Society. The group helped Hitler to power and helped German scientists develop rocket engines. Later they also built black dragons of types 1 to 4 for Hitler, but due to the extremely heavy fuel production they could not deliver the desired quantities. The Second World War broke out in 1939. Hitler was a fan of occultism and tried to cooperate with the rest of us, the Babylonian Brotherhood. The fact that we established a military government in the United States would have helped him conquer the world. But the Council rejected it by an enormous majority of 196 to 3 with one abstention. In 1941 we made a ceasefire with the and fought Hitler and the 7th Legion together. In 1945 Zionists approached us and asked us to accept them into the Brotherhood. In return, they offered us their financial power. The Council, which now had 6 leaders and 200 voters with the Illuminati, voted narrowly in favor. 113 votes for, 91 against, and 2 abstentions. Very close result, considering that the applicants were systematically murdered in World War II. We took them in and changed the name to Central Council, but most of us prefer the name Council of 300. We got ourselves a wolf in sheep's clothing. Not only did they begin to determine the course, but they also invented a new world order in which they claimed power. They stole our instantiation technology so that we can no longer control who instantiates who and how often. They had a think tank built and began to become politically active. Donations to political organizations and politicians. In 1946 more reptiloids and other species came to Earth together and made official contact with us to cooperate. Several space research programs were agreed upon, in which also selected humans participate. I say more about this when it comes to alliances and enemies. In 1951 the last activity of the Vril Society was registered. In 1989 the penultimate generation of black dragons was put into service. In 2012 Taluk applied to be admitted to the council. Taluk are a very sophisticated species whose bioengineered bodies are known as greys. They have known the Earth since 1485 AD and have been our allies in the war against the 7th Legion since 1946. The request is still under discussion because we believe they have ulterior motives. Moreover, the council should not grow. Instead of 100 from each group, then only 75 were to determine. This means that 25 members from each group would lose the right to vote and thus the power. If the request is accepted, each group must name the members affected. No one will go voluntarily, but Taluk are powerful allies. Even if they have ulterior motives, would it still be better to have them closer to us and intervene in case of emergency? Their participation to our new cruiser is the technology to travel without human sacrifice in parallel universes. They introduced this technology in 2012 after kidnapping people and simulating the state of sacrifice on them. Work is still underway to refine the method, but basically the system is already operational. They and we were united against Operation Babylonian Fire, which began in Cologne on New Year's Eve 2015, and which would mean the extinction of European culture. But more about this in a later episode. Finally, in 2017, with a ship full of human telepaths, we were able to contact the descendants of the people we once brought to our home world via remote viewing. That's what I'm going to talk about later. In 2018 I decided to go public with it and started the preparations which lasted until 2019. That would be the most important thing in our history for now. In order not to miss anything, I suggest that you, the viewer, subscribe to my channel.